This week, the Army of Virginia takes on the Army of Northern Virginia. On the 9th, the Battle of Cedar Mountain. Major General John Pope controls the Army of Virginia. He has up front Major General Nathaniel P. Banks with the 2nd Corps of the Army of Virginia. Banks has deployed on a ridge above Cedar Run Stream. He has present 2 divisions. The first is led by Brigadier General Alpheus S. Williams. Williams has 2 brigades ready. The first is led by Brigadier General Samuel W. Crawford, and the third is led by Brigadier General George H. Gordon. The 2nd Division is commanded by Brigadier General Christopher C. Auger, and he has 3 brigades. The first belongs to Brigadier General John W. Gary, and the second, Brigadier General Henry Prince, and the third, Brigadier General George S. Green. Banks also has his artillery amassed under the control of Captain Claremont L. Best. In total, his men number around 8,000. Marching to challenge him is Major General Thomas Stonewall Jackson, with around 17,000 men. He has 3 divisions: Major General Richard Ewell's, Major General A.P. Hill's, and Jackson's division led by Brigadier General Charles Winder. There's also a grouping of cavalry led by Brigadier General Beverly H. Robertson. Around 2 in the afternoon, the battle begins as Brigadier General Jubal Early discovers the Union's position. It's soon a race for the Confederates to bring up artillery to dislodge the Union while under artillery fire. With the discovery of the Union position, Jackson rides to the front and scrambles to get together a line. Ewell to the right, Winder to the left, and Hill to the rear. It will take hours to get done. With the discovery of the Union position, Jackson rides to the front and scrambles to assemble a line. Ewell to the right, Winder to the left, and Hill to the rear. But that will take hours to get done. And Banks gives him the time. The next major development is just before 5, when Winder is mortally wounded by a shell, and his division is thrown into chaos. Brigadier General William B. Telfair takes command, but is ignorant of Stonewall's plans. Major General Banks sees the opening. He knows he's outnumbered 2-1. He could either play the defensive and wait for reinforcements, or he could take the initiative and destroy the enemy before they can get into a stable line. The 1st and 2nd Brigades of the 2nd Division go bearing down on the Confederate center. 500 Virginians hold the Confederate left flank, waiting for the Stonewall Brigade to come up when 1,500 Federals charge through the force, and despite accurate Confederate gunfire, they disperse the rebels. The Union doesn't wait to reform. They go forward, assaulting Colonel Alexander Telfair's brigade and the artillery of Jackson's division. Early's left is in disarray. Jackson calls on the artillery to withdraw. It does so successfully, leaving behind the infantry to get decimated. Every regimental commander in Brigadier General Garnett's brigade is killed or wounded. The famed Stonewall Brigade is hounded by musket fire, but the Union is too disorganized. And the Stonewall regiments return fire. To the right flank, not much has happened, which is good for Jackson. He orders a general assault of his own, even riding into his mob of marauding soldiers to get them to advance. Stonewall then looks and sees men of his beloved brigade breaking and running. Under this sight, the Stonewall Brigade rallies and, aided with APL's division, advance once more. They turn into a charge and start pushing the enemy back. They pursue too far, and without the support of Hill, are put on the defensive. And are losing men quickly. The Confederates, though, use the opportunity to form lines. The Stonewall Brigade bought needed time with their lives. In a general line, the Confederates pushed the Union line back everywhere. But for the Union on the Confederate left, there is a problem. They are tired, low on ammunition, and surrounded. Surrender. The Confederates cannot pursue effectively. They are tired, unaware of Major General John Pope's army's position. A single division of the 3rd Corps of the Army of Virginia arrives and protects Banks' withdrawal. It's a Confederate victory. The Union suffered 314 killed, 1,445 wounded, and 594 missing or captured. The Confederates 231 killed and 1,107 wounded. Much blame goes to Banks for going on the assault. This isn't the first time he has lost Jackson. and everyone knows he's a political general with little support from any military men. Jackson stays at Cedar Mountain till the 12th, when learning of Pope's advance, withdraws to Gordonsville. When Halleck receives words of the loss, he orders Pope to return to the defensive. The Confederates now have the initiative. Back to the 10th, massacre of German Unionists in Texas, a Nueces. 37 killed out of 61. The rest are being hunted down as we speak. This action is met with abject horror of Germans everywhere. This is a crackdown on Unionism within the Confederacy. And on to the 11th, another battle, this one in Missouri. A very important city, in fact, Independence. Independence, the start of every trail going west you know of, most of all being the famous Oregon Trail. The city was also home to 344 Missouri men under Union Lieutenant Colonel James T. Buell. Opposing him is 800 men of the Confederacy under the total command of Brigadier General John T. Hughes. But his force is divided between his men, Lieutenant Colonel Upton Hayes, and a very special group, the Quantrill Raiders, under the leadership of William Quantrill. Quantrill and his men are infamous for ransacking towns and killing innocents. The day begins before dawn as two Confederate columns move into Independence. A volley is heard, waking the Union camp. Union leadership is confused and unsure what to do, finally deciding on forming up behind a stone wall. The Confederates are poorly armed, and their charges against the well-placed, be it outnumbered Union men, fails. They try charge after charge, and then Brigadier General Hughes is killed. Colonel Gideon W. Thompson takes command and is wounded, so it is Lieutenant Colonel Hayes' men. Confederates realize they can't take the wall, move on to the two other places where Union forces are, the bank and the jail. At the bank is actually Lieutenant Colonel Buell. He stops Confederate assaults. Through the scent of gunpowder, he smells smoke. The building next to him is on fire. Under a white flag, he surrenders with his men, not hoping to burn alive. All that remains now is the jail. The Union forces there don't wish to have a similar fate to Buell. They fire a volley and then run, handing Independence to the Confederacy. As a Confederate victory, every Union man is either wounded, killed, or missing, deserted. The Confederate casualties are unknown, but I expect them to be pretty high. 10 of their officers were killed outright. After the battle, George Todd, a member of Quantrill's Raiders, goes into the jail and frees all prisoners. He then takes City Marshal Knowles and Captain Thomas and kills them. No trial, no charges, just murder. The next day, a different Confederate raider, Colonel John Hunt Morgan, took Galatian, dispelled the Union garrison, and burned railroads. Morgan's raids have slowed Major General Doncrose Buell's advance to a crawl. Railroads have allowed major campaigns to develop rapidly, and their destruction causes a logistics nightmare. On the 14th, Major General George B. McClellan begins to withdraw from the peninsula, though he's in no rush to do so. His bitterness towards Lincoln, Pope, and Halleck has turned his withdrawal into the slowest possible version. The same day, a first in U.S. history, President Abraham Lincoln meets with a group of African American leaders in the White House.
Perhaps you have long been free, or all your lives. Your race are suffering, in my judgment, the greatest wrong inflicted on any people. Even when you cease to be slaves, you are yet far removed from being placed on equality with the white race. You cut off on many of the advantages which the other race enjoy. The aspiration of men is to enjoy equality, the best when free. But on this broad continent, not a single man of your race is made the equal of a single man of ours. Go where you are treated the best, and the ban is still upon you. If you take colonists, there is no good winning, there is a bad show, and so where there is nothing to cultivate, and of which to make a farm. But if something is started so that you can get your daily bread as soon as you reach there, is a great advantage. Coal land is the best thing I know of which to commence an enterprise. To return, you have been talked to upon this subject, till that speculation is intended by gentlemen who have an interest in the country, including the coal mines. We have been mistaken all our lives if we do not know whites as well as blacks look to their self-interest. Once among those deficient of intellect, everybody you trade with makes something. You meet with these things here as elsewhere. If such persons have what will be an advantage to them, the question is whether it cannot be made an advantage to you. You are intelligent, and know that success does not as much depend on external help as on self-reliance. Much, therefore, depends upon yourselves. As for the coal mines, I think I see the means available for your self-reliance. I shall, if I get a significant number of you engaged, have provisions made that you shall not be wronged. If you will engage in the enterprise, I will spend some of the money entrusted to me. I'm not sure you will succeed. Whoever may lose the money, but we cannot succeed unless we try. But we think with care we can succeed. The political affairs in Central America are not in quite as satisfactory condition as I wish. There are contending factors in that quarter, but it's true all the factors are agreed alike on the subject of colonization and want it, and are more generous than we are here. To your colored race, they have no objection. Besides, I would endeavor to have you made equals, have the best assurance that you should be equals of the best. The practical thing I want to ascertain is whether I can get a number of able-bodied men, with their wives and children, who are willing to go. When I present evidence of encouragement and protection, could I get 100 tolerably intelligent men, their wives and children, to cut their own fodder, so to speak? Can I have 50? If I could find 25 able-bodied men with a mixture of women and children, good things in a family relation, I think I can make a successful commencement. I want you to let me know whether this can be done or not. This is a practical part of my wish to see you. Our subjects of very great importance, worthy of a month's study, instead of a speech delivered in an hour. I ask you then to consider seriously, not pertaining to yourselves merely, nor for your race and ours, for the present time, but as one of the things if successfully managed, for the good of mankind, not confined to the present generation, but as from age to age descends the lay, millions yet be, till far its echoes roll away into eternity. These are only the substance of the present words, not them directly. This repeat of colonization is not what the delegation wanted to hear. The chairman of the delegation diplomatically briefly replies that they would hold a consultation and in a short time give an answer. The president says, "Take your full time, no hurry at all." The question of how much performance was in this meeting is greatly debated. If Lincoln did this to get more support from politicians, well, then there are Sickles. He takes his men, including wounded, to the recruitment rally. Negro tried to do something similar and failed. And the audience are the perfect recruits, the city's volunteer firemen. For an hour and a half he talks to them, but he can't seem to ignite the passion for the fight that even his wounded men still have. It isn't his fault. It isn't his fault. These firemen are specifically against joining the Union military. How much and why? We will have to wait and see. But that's where the week ends, with another Union major defeat. Cedar Mountain was a failure of Union leadership. Major General Nathaniel P. Banks suffered over 2,000 casualties for nothing. The stubbornness of McClellan is sabotaging the general Union war effort, and raiding from Missouri to Tennessee is slowing everything down. The Union lost this week. And with the elections coming up, peace might be just around the corner, just not the kind that reunites America. It's been 1 year since the Battle of Wilson's Creek, the darkest days of the Union. But the war has grown. But the Confederates have been able to stop the noose from closing in. Hello, it's the entire Civil War week by week team here, and I'm pleased to announce I have created a Patreon. I'd like to thank Kevin Mack, who has already joined it. It means the world to me. I'm not saying that you should join. This entire production will go on without. It's just if you have the money, and only if you have the money, and you would like to give it to me, I would gladly accept it and forever be in your debt. Now for the normal things. If you liked the video, please like it. If you want to tell me how much you liked it, please comment. If you want to check out what has happened last week, you should be seeing that around now. If you really want to understand the war, you should be seeing a playlist about it right now. Thank you all, and I shall see you next week.